So here we are. We have an afternoon session of 3 hours or more. So again, if you can sustain the sort of formal practice rather than walking around and looking around, sustain the container. So the container is the sitting posture, the shrine room. The container is your walking meditation path, or it might be the posture of Yoga Nidra. And then, so over 3 hours, we're remembering something wholesome. And that remembrance then is a cultivation of an attitude, a perspective. And you obviously that accumulates. You just keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it. But it's not an accumulation through trying to build something up, like making a stone wall. Like I could make a stone wall over, probably now I couldn't. When I was younger, I could. So I could build a stone wall, but then that stone wall could fall apart if I didn't build it correctly, and with time it would fall apart. Here we're not building anything. Here we're just plugging into tamachat, into nature. And what's interesting about that is that it's not something that is constructed. It's not something you build up, it's something you notice. And it's always there. So as you tune into that, and it's always there, you find that natural, call it abiding, that natural way of being, is always available. The stone wall will always fall apart. So if we have an idea of meditation as you just build things up, you build up like refined states of mind, more and more samadhi. I think all of us have done that. I mean, certainly my experience of that crumbles because it's kind of built up through lots of efforts and such like. This is more like an opening to nature. And what actually happens is that delusion falls away. The delusion crumbles. The power of delusion crumbles and is no longer dominant in the mind. And there's a freedom there. And it's the freedom, a natural freedom. At least that's what I find. So I suggested this morning, very simple perception, a bit odd, but a simple perception that this experience is in awareness. And then I gave various examples. So just for the people online who might not have heard this instruction, I recommended just listening to sound. So if we do that, you listen to sound. First of all, you have to make the intention to be here. Listen to sound. Notice the changing nature of sound. Perceive sound as in awareness. Feel the breathing of your body. Notice the changing nature of the breathing of your body. Perceive breath as in awareness. Perceive body as in awareness. Sound, bodily sensation, both in awareness. What is changing and what is unchanging. So the more I do that, not as a thought, but actually as an experience, this is important. If you just think about this, then you won't get it because you'll just have some philosophical idea. But you actually do it. You're going to investigate the nature of change, but also the nature of unchanging. Because in Buddhism, sometimes we say, which is erroneous, we say everything is changing. But The Nibbana Sutta is saying, no, no, no. There is the unchanging, the unborn, the uncreated, the unconstructed. So this kind of perception of this is happening in awareness, you start to intuit the background as as nature, tamachat. Let's say you're walking, you're doing walking meditation, you're walking back and forth. You can, as you start to do this, you notice that you get to A, then you get to B, then you get to A, then you get to B, one end, the other end, one end, the other end, one end, the other end. And you perceive that walking is in awareness. A is in awareness, B is in awareness. You keep doing that. It's in awareness. And then what you notice is that awareness is timeless. It's always there. So the idea that I am walking from A to B takes place in awareness. And that awareness is always there. And you start to get a global feeling, a kind of global sense of awareness, spacious, within which all conditions arise and cease. And then you start to see arising and ceasing. So you're walking back and forth in your meditation, and a memory comes up, a memory of something, maybe someone in your family is having a lot of difficulties. Memory comes up, and that stimulates the thought, what's going to happen to her? God, I hope she's going to be okay. What should I do? Arising of sense of self. So with memory, there's arising of sense of self, but constantly you're now encouraging this perception. Yeah, but this sense of worry is in awareness. And as you get better at that, you see that the person ceases. The sense of a person ceases. So you begin to see that your identity as a person, me as Viradhammo or Yom Vibhuna as Vibhuna, whatever, is something that comes and goes according to causes and conditions. But the knowing, you begin to say, well, that's always there. Conscious awareness is always there. And you see arising and ceasing of the personality, of the sense of self. And then more and more you think, well, what is not arising and ceasing? And your refuge tends to be, not tends to be, you naturally, how should we say, like Luangpor Cha's phrase, your real home is that knowing of arising and ceasing. So the idea here is to persist in a very easy perception, but rather not normal, and just to keep persisting in it. If you let's say you're meditating and you're struggling with thinking, so a thought comes up, and then you're trying to meditate in whatever way you like to meditate, and then you try to get rid of the thought. You're not awake. You have a good intention, but you're still caught in the objects of thought. So then, like, let's say if you have like a thought of worry comes up, triggered by memory. What am I going to do for her? I don't know. Is she going to be okay? And then another thought comes up. I shouldn't worry. I should meditate. I should stop thinking. It's the same thing. They're still in the object. But if you can just say to yourself, worry feels this way, then you're no longer in the storyline. You're back in the space. So it doesn't really matter what's going on. Let's say you are you have a lot of self-judgments. Let's say some people are very self-critical. I'm a terrible meditator, or I shouldn't have done that. That is a sense of self which arises from memory and habit. And then so self-disparagement is this way. And you open up again. And you see, the person arises and ceases in awareness. And awareness becomes more and more and that's who you really are, I would say. That's not, it's hard to describe because there's no words for it. One of the difficulties that we have in meditation, especially sitting meditation, is dullness. This just crushes your consciousness. Sleepiness is a very difficult nivarana to deal with. And it's a very difficult hindrance. So there is the case that you're just exhausted. If someone is experiencing a lot of dullness and sleepiness, there is the case that you're just exhausted. So go to sleep. You just can't keep your head up. Go back to your kuti. We have kutis here. It's not a spa. And just get more sleep. Don't make it a problem. That's fine. But there is also chronic dullness. It's just the habit of meditators kind of getting comfortable in it, doing, just the kind of, we call it the Theravada nod. Um, and you can be like that for years if you're not careful. It just is a insidious habit that happens. So if you don't know you're sleepy, you got a problem because you think you're meditating. But most of us know, well, I'm nodding a lot. That's pretty clear. So what to do? Well, the two most basic practices for dullness is to keep your eyes open and to increase the volume of your breathing by 10%. Because if you increase the volume of your breathing by a little bit more than normal, it requires effort. And as soon as you start to get dull, your lungs start to have less oxygen. You're not open. So you need to open up your posture. You need to sit tall and keep your eyes open. And that's actually very difficult to do. When I teach a guided meditation and I notice people are sleepy, I'll give some instruction on opening your eyes. And everyone opens their eyes except the people that are sleepy. They all just yes, it's actually quite uncomfortable to keep your eyes open when you're sleepy. It's amazingly difficult. So increasing the breath by 10%. You can see that as the habit of dullness comes up, your breath gets less. So you have to put more effort in. If you're restless, that you don't have to do that. If you're restless, you have to relax more. So you have to kind of see what's going on. I think the sign is like, what's your body doing? What's the posture doing? Are you tense? Are you slack and so on? So in the vein of seeing arising and ceasing, what ideally you notice as you say, this is in awareness. In awareness, you begin to see memory coming into consciousness, ideally. Because when we're not aware, memory comes up, we get attached to it, and there's a sense of self and thinking, and we're sort of reborn into a whole narrative. So as you do this, and this is in awareness, come to a kind of open global presence. That's all. And then wait. And just wait. Huh? But wait for nothing. Because you don't really want an experience. You just want to be that open awareness. And it's tedious and not exciting, but the results are very, very subtle. And the results are you start to say, no. Yeah, the sense of self is something that's arising and ceasing. It's not who I am. And what's really true is this awareness, this open awareness. So you try to see the arising of memory, or a habit, whatever you want to call it. And then also you're trying to note the ceasing of the sense of self. When you notice some narrative going on, maybe I sometimes think of one of the monks at the monastery who has a lot of sickness. So maybe I'll think of Amarasiri and think him, oh yeah, I heard he just had pneumonia, had COVID. I hope he's all right. So that's thinking, me, him, not bad, but the sense of self arises. And then, yeah, but this is in awareness, this concern, this is in awareness. Then I notice the sense of Viradhammo ceasing. Consciousness doesn't cease. It's not, I don't become some kind of vegetable. There's brightness, there's presence, but there isn't a sense of ego anymore. It ends in the end of thought. So you start to notice that, how when thinking ends, there's just the silent knowing. And how I'm trying to indicate that to you is when I just ask you to listen to sound. And when you listen to sound, and you just just do this with me again. Listen to sound. Is there a person there? Is there a me listening to a sound? Or is there just the knowing of sound? Is there a third thing called Viradhammo, listening to a sound? Or is there just knowing of sound? I don't see any guy or holy guy, whatever you want. It's just sound. Is that right? And the individual or the personality comes in through thought. And how does it come in? It's too loud. Oh, it's not cold enough. It's too cold. Judgments, pain comes up. Pain is just pain. How long should I sit? This is hurting me. Memory comes up. So memory is memory. Feeling is feeling. Body is body. So when I just listen to sound as sound, there is awareness. Sound is in awareness. Is there a person? So this. I'm not trying to convince you about anatta as a kind of Buddhist doctrine. I don't want to do that, because then what's the point? We just indoctrinate the Buddhists. But I want you just to investigate these assumptions that I am listening to something. Sure, there's individuality. The equipment I hear with and the perceptions I have are different than yours. We're not denying individuality, but the sense of ego, the sense of self, arises and ceases in awareness. As you start to see that, then you start to see that awareness is peaceful and the other is not peaceful. And then it's no longer the struggle of getting rid of thinking. I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of years just trying to get rid of thought. And this kind of vibhava tanha of trying to get rid of thought. But that doesn't work, because it's still looking in the wrong place. It's looking in the born. Now we're contemplating the unborn, the uncreated, what is not born. Sound will change. That will be coming and going. But will the awareness, the knowing, that's what we're investigating. That's where you start to find the peace of mind, not in the objects. So I use a simple paradigm or model of background, foreground. You'll find this in the literature. You'll find images like the ocean and the surface of the ocean. You find that's very common. The depth of the ocean is peaceful. The waves of the ocean are noisy. The waves are the five khandhas, say, if we were talking Pali terms. And what's that deep ocean? The silence of awareness. Or sometimes we say, there's many analogies. So we say there's the print on the page, which is black and squiggled and has meaning. And there's the white of the page, which we don't notice because we're always focused. We'd say space and form. We don't notice the space. We're caught up in the form. So there's so many analogies to speak to this, to the Nibbana Sutta in all the traditions. So I just like that background, foreground kind of model. So I'd like to just do that body meditation again and stretch my knee. But the language I'm trying to use here is I'm asking you to localize your attention on a certain part of the body, like say the mouth or the head, and then just establish this receptive knowing, and then allow whatever feelings or sensations are there to come into consciousness. So this is different than the technique of looking at sensations. There's a technique like that exists in the Buddhist world. And then you go from a sensation here to there, to there, to there, to there. And that's about the object. Now, I'm more interested in the background, and yet I think it's helpful to localize attention on something. So that's the way that's the idea of the instruction is localize your attention at the mouth. And the mouth's very, very sensitive. And then as you do that, what things you start to notice is your gums or your tongue, they come into consciousness. And then I say, go to the ears, go to the nose, and then go through the whole body. And then the perception I'm really trying to encourage or cultivate is that the body appears in awareness. The usual perception we have is that I am in the body, or I am a body, which is necessary. Otherwise, I'll never go to the doctor or the physiotherapist or wherever. So, but this other way of knowing that or perceiving the body in awareness gives you the kind of space to know change, the bodily formation, and see that that's not, the body is born, obviously, it's formed. So what is the unborn in relationship to body awareness? What is the unborn? And it's that knowing, it's a puru, that awareness. And so this meditation, that's its purpose. Its purpose isn't some kind of, like in terms of the word samadhi, what I find helpful for samma samadhi is the background. So my language around samma samadhi has always been around the background or peace rather than the foreground. So when the body starts to hurt or whatever it does, the attention goes to the body because that's biologically necessary to take care of the body. Pain, those kinds of things. But if you train yourself, then to say that the body is in awareness, you can see that within the struggles that the body has, there is a silent knowing within which this takes place. And it's very interesting when like if I say to you, notice your right shoulder, you know your right shoulder's there, but all of a sudden it comes alive in consciousness, in awareness. So you do that, and then you kind of go through the body, and after all, you don't need to go through it all. You just get a sense of whole body awareness that the body is in awareness, and the perception that I am the body begins to fall away. This is very helpful in Yoga Nidra. Most Yoga Nidra techniques that I've read encourage that you kind of go through the body, know it as an object in awareness, and then you abide as witness, the body changing, arising and ceasing. So that's what I'm hoping will work. If in this instruction you find you're sleepy, then you've got another program. And that's called keeping your eyes open and increasing your breath, right? And if everyone falls asleep, I'll be quiet. Because sometimes my voice can put people to sleep. So my apologies. Not helpful. All right, let's do that. Do some meditation. Okay. Listen to sound. Let the sounds come to you. Receptive awareness. The unbecome or non-becoming. You're not trying to find anything. Just the way, just listening. So you establish samadhi, composure. Bring your attention, localize your attention at the mouth. Feel the sensations in the mouth. And this way of talking, let it become conscious. So your mind has this kind of open, welcoming awareness, localized, and then things become conscious. in awareness. So the mouth, the teeth, the tongue, etc. And localize your attention at the ears. Wait. Open awareness. Attention at the nose. The feelings in the nose are in awareness. So if you're used to doing anapanasati and you strain that, so sometimes your eyes get strained looking at the nose, you want to notice that. So attention at the eyes. Are they tight? Let the feelings in the eyes become conscious. The temples, the top of the head, the back of the head, so the go to the back of the neck, and the front of the neck, the throat. Now notice the whole head, neck, head, as sensations changing. Don't even define it as head before you perceive it as anything, just as it is, in awareness. Now, in that pure awareness, can you find a person? Or is there awareness of sensation? Is there a third thing called me and my head? Bodily sensations in awareness. We'll feel the shoulders, the left shoulder, that become conscious. And notice in this, you're not trying to achieve anything or get anything. It doesn't really matter if there are strong sensations or nothing, but you're constantly awakening to the openness of awareness, that this is an awareness. Down the left arm, the bicep, the inner arm, the armpit, the left elbow, the forearm, wrist and hand, left side. So remember, you're not conceptualizing this. It's not a thought, it's the direct experience of Vedana. The right shoulder, just as it is. the upper arm, inside, outside, bicep. Let that come into consciousness. The right elbow, the right forearm, the right wrist, and the right hand. So both shoulders, both arms, both hands, sensations in awareness, not a concept. Feel the torso, feel the chest, feel the rising and falling of the chest with the breath as sensations in awareness. Feel the rib cage, the upper rib cage. Feel the back, the upper spine. And then feel your lungs and your heart if you want. So feel the upper torso as a mass of sensations in awareness, not a concept. The abdominal area, stomach, front, the intestines, kidneys, liver, the lower spine. Let all that become conscious. Pelvic area, pelvic bones, the organs in the pelvic area. The weight of the body on your cushion or on your seat. The left hip, the left thigh. Not a concept, just the sensation, left knee in awareness. Lower leg, ankle and foot, left side, right side, the right hip, the right thigh, the right knee, right lower leg, ankle and foot. Now bring that a step outside, as it were. Feel the whole body as changing sensation in awareness. So there's no need to think. This is not a concept. So are you in the body, or is the body in awareness? Is there a you that has a body, that owns a body, or are bodily sensations just in awareness, nature? So I call this whole body awareness. Listen to sound. Sound is a changing objective experience in awareness. Feel the body. Body is an objective experience in awareness. Now you could just wait in awareness. But what you'll find is that the habit of doing and becoming, you'll start to engage ideas, or you'll start to think you have to find something, or you'll try to get rid of thought. And then this exercise, when you notice that, is to open and notice that thought, worry is in awareness. So you come back to this kind of global feeling of awareness. And you just wait. You wait there.